After watching this week's episode on My Hero Academia, all I can say is I'm very glad that Overhaul didn't have someone who loved him the same way La Brava loves Gentle Criminal, because imagine if that love power was applied to Overhaul at his most monstrous state. That would have been pure chaos and probably would have been the end of the anime because the world would be over. This week's episode went in a pretty emotionally and engaging direction, I have to say. Not only do we get La Brava's side of the backstory, we also got Gentle Criminals, and I was pretty sure the fight was going to end in this episode, but I wasn't expecting the direction they actually took with it. I thought it was going to be pretty much, Gentle Criminal, he's set on his objective. He's going to invade the school festival, and then Deku would say, "Why are you doing that? That's an asshole move." They would fight, and then basically maybe he would be reformed once he was captured. But I wasn't really expecting Gentle to turn himself in for La Brava's sake, and I thought that really tied together the entire episode, because when you really start seeing the perspectives, and this is something that authors can get very, very wrong, where they excuse the actions of the criminal, and even though Gentle and La Brava are doing petty crimes, they still are criminals. They're doing criminal activities, and Gentle even admits to that. But the thing with it is their backstory doesn't excuse what they're doing, but it does showcase why they ended up in that direction and how they're not too far gone. They could be on the right side of the law, they just need a proper push, and Gentle turning himself in at the end of the episode is the first step in not only transitioning him back into what he always wanted to be, which was a hero, but unfortunately, just a lot of things piled up and stopped him from being one, and someone like La Brava was just picked on and bullied to the point of wanting to kill herself, to then seeing someone who on the internet kind of just inspired her and gave her a reason to live. Gentle was a horrible person or a great person, it wouldn't matter in society's eyes, because for her, she would love this man. So him turning himself in not only is going to be better for him, but also her in the long run, and that's really exciting. The Brava side of the backstory, I thought it wasn't anything too crazy that we haven't seen in anime before, but I think it really does put into perspective not only her quirk, but also basically why she follows this man as much as she does, because no one likes his videos. No one does. He's like that YouTuber who just will keep posting and everyone absolutely shits on him. It happens all the time from large to smaller creators alike. So why was this one girl the one out of a billion to say, you know what, this man, I want to follow you? There's got to be a reason for it, and I'm really glad to see the direction they took, because someone who's been writing love letters, maybe in a little too much of a stalkerish way, just didn't know how to be socially acceptable, sure, okay. And then just the idea of isolation and loneliness, things like that. Sure, you understand why just popping up a random video who basically just says the right word at the right moment of your life, you're going to be intoxicated, and that intoxication can lead you down very wrong paths. But it's nice that she did get intoxicated by someone who, yes, was trying to be a petty criminal, but at the same time clearly started off as a good guy, and I think that's why the end of the episode worked so well. I think Gentle probably had the most shocking elements, though. When you see that piece of equipment just fall on that man, I thought he was dead. The fact that it was only going to take him like 6 months to recover or something like that was holy shit, I was not expecting that, but in the world of My Hero Academia, I'm not surprised some people can take a little more damage than others, but still, the idea that he just wanted to be a hero so bad, but just kept being held down, not enough qualifications, his family getting very scared and worried, and then you understand this moment in so many different ways. On one hand, he feels like he can be a hero, and you think to yourself, okay, yeah, his ability probably could save it, even though it would bounce, it might hurt someone else. I understand the hustle, I understand the determination, but the fact that he was the reason a hero couldn't save someone and prevent them from getting hurt, you understand being charged with that. You understand the rage that would come with it. It's a two-sided coin. On one hand, he definitely had good intentions, but just because you have good intentions doesn't mean it excuses any acts that could cause harm on others. That's why there's so many acts in the real world that you're not legally allowed to do it unless the authority is around or things like that. Because even if you have good intentions to perform CPR, if you don't properly know how to do that, you might be the reason someone dies for that. It's very easy to say, why would Gentle Criminal get charged for that? But it's the same thing as the real world. He had good intentions, but those good intentions don't guarantee a right decision because he hasn't been properly trained for it. But I understand where he was coming from, and it definitely is sad to see because of that action and because of his good intentions taking over. Basically, he kind of got lost and just started aging very fast to the point that he decided to be a criminal. I think seeing both sides of those backstories, it really puts into perspective the bond these two have, but also why they ended up being villains, but you kind of look at them in comparison to any villain that we've seen over these 4 seasons, and they're not even comparable. I'm not even just talking about the personality, but just their actions in general. What type of villains will sit down, have tea time, try to get viral videos for internet clout? What is the point but 2 characters who are lonely and feel isolated and just want attention, but also want to be heroes, but just really are feeling like they're pushed on the wrong side? It makes total sense in that single episode, and that makes me really happy. And I think because of that backstory playing out, not just like in one lump sum, we get a little taste of La Brava, go back to modern day action, little taste of Gentle Criminal, and then finishing up in modern day. It was really nice how they spaced it because it gave you that, like, as you're watching the fight play out, you're thinking, I want to see Deku win. And then you get a little taste of the backstory. You start saying, okay, I still want to see Deku win, but, you know, I'm starting to understand why this girl's following this crazy lunatic, but still, let's watch Deku win. And then you get Gentle Criminal. And then you're like, okay, still want to see Deku win, but maybe we can help these characters and push them in the right direction. And I thought the way they animated it was really nice because something you don't really see too often is a hero using their enemy's abilities to their advantage. Because for Gentle, he can't just like deactivate what he basically uses. So Deku uses that to his full potential. One of my favorite points in the action was when he basically goes behind Gentle, fires, but he knows he's going to reflect it, but because of the trajectory, it'll hit the one, hit up here, and then smack him right in the face. It was really nice how Deku, it kind of flexes just when you really compare season 1 or 2, hell, even season 3 fights, where Deku would really just act rash. He would punch first, think later. But it's nice how not only because he can use his abilities in new ways now because of his equipment, but also his training and just everything that he's went through. I mean, when you go up against Overhaul, I expect you have some new experiences that you could apply to lesser criminals and things like that. I like the idea that, in all honesty, this was probably one of Deku's most memorable and impactful fights, because this isn't someone who he wants to kill. It's not someone he wants to stop because the end of the world is going to happen if he lets him through. Simply put, this is simply he wants to see a little girl smile and he wants the school festival to go on, but he also has this level of respect because it's clear this isn't just some big bad villain. Up until that moment where La Brava starts like attacking Deku in a very childish manner, he probably thought, you know, these are just crazy lunatics, we're gonna lock them up. But in that moment where she is crying and Gentle is just wishing she would go away, Deku recognizes how there's something more here, and that, you know, there has to be a reason for what they're doing. But as Gentle says when Deku wins, like, you won. Be proud of that. I lost. And the fact that out of everything here, of all the directions that they could have taken this fight, of Gentle pushing through, breaking through the gates, ruining the festival, the fact that someone who started off as wanting to be a hero and hasn't been thrown off so much to the deep end that he can't recover from it, realizes that what he has to do is make sure that she doesn't get dragged in with him, because she would follow him to the gates of hell. So by turning himself in, removing Deku from the equation, it makes everything in a very peaceful resolution. Gentle Criminal is not going to get a life sentence the same way someone like Overhaul would, right? I mean, he's not that crazy, maybe a year in the slammer or something like that, but he's someone who isn't beyond repair, and you really understand someone like that would honestly make a great teacher at a school like UA. Obviously, he doesn't have the same abilities as others, and obviously he has a lot to overcome and work on, but someone who's experienced torment, who has experienced failure, would honestly be a great teacher, someone to really mentor people the same way he clearly has been mentoring La Brava, even if he hasn't done everything all that right. And I'm really excited to see if they ever reintroduce these characters in the future. Not even just like as a main character or plot point, but just referencing. And even if they don't, you just feel like there's potential for them to get better and really find themselves on the right side of the law, but also do things in maybe a more optimistic and hopeful direction, rather than just saying, we need to be the big baddies. But you definitely felt the level of passion in how the clock was ticking, and both sides, they felt like they were fighting for something, and it was interesting how they made you look at the antagonist side and say, I don't agree with you. I don't think you should win, but I respect your hustle, and as long as you don't crash the festival, I'm not gonna be like, okay, well, you need to be smacked upside the head. Deku definitely had a couple of badass lines though in the episode. I really like that moment where he's basically just saying, I've been hit by worse, I've been fighting worse than you, and just how it felt like, on one hand, you just kind of wanted to smile at the action, but then on the other, you're like, okay, no, this is still serious, but There's just something about that conflict and going out on My Hero Academia's 4th season with your main conflict of being Gentle Criminal and Labrava. I mean, next week's episode will probably wrap up the school festival, and then the final episode will start the next arc as we tease and wait for that season 5 confirmation, and most likely season 5 next year. But still, it's nice that the big conflict that we're going out on is an overhaul. It's Gentle Criminal and Labrava, and how their abilities just work so well in harmony, and you kind of start out thinking both of them probably wouldn't have much to go off of, but then you see his idea of how he can bounce around and jump around, reflect, and do all these crazy things, and the idea of love was so powerful. It had a limiter, which is good, so it didn't make him invincible, but still, just the idea of the two's companionships and just how they really were in harmony, and just you kind of feel like there's potential for them. And it's nice to go out on a battle like this where it was intense at certain moments, sure, but you never really felt like Deku was going to die, right? And you never felt like Deku was going to kill them. It was this interesting balance of showcasing how far Deku has come while also showing us 2 new characters with such unique personalities and motivations where you want to see them go in the right direction, and you really feel like they can going forward. And to see the action, it was just fun. It was exhilarating at certain points. It just felt like a great episode across the board. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. For manga readers, anime originals, whatever you're feeling, let me know. If you liked the video, be sure to drop a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.